Well, good morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good.
You
Good.
good?
Listen.
Coming off of epic Father's Day weekend. Hope it was good for everybody. And here we are to take a deeper dive into just the weekend. I mean, Sunday was a moment, but then Pro Dad's Day was on Saturday, and I know that there's a lot that all of us have to reflect on, and that's what this moment is about. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're so glad that the most awesome live audience is in the building with us. And we welcome you. Welcome you to the Deeper Dive this Tuesday morning. Go ahead and drop something in the chat. Let us know that you are there. The Deeper Dive gives us the opportunity to attend to the things that God has said to us. We've determined to be people who are most blessed. And we already started our conversation. We're just going to continue it as we reflect back on the weekend. As you can see, we got Sean Callahan, Super Sean Callahan, is here with us this morning. Dynamic dads. These are all pro dads on the lineup this week. And Mr. Nate Westbrooks is in the building. He's the vet. He's the vet on the team. 100%. Yeah, he's the vet on the team. Pastor Brian Poe,
what's happening?
Father of Amber Sky, is in the building.
You know, I didn't get my theme song this morning, but with all the yellow in the house, I was feeling a little black and yellow.
Y'all are in there. That's where we're at.
That's where I was gonna go.
That's where we're at.
But I'm not gonna mess up our stream by playing it on my phone.
Okay.
That's normally the free moment, but
that's where we're at. So let's keep it going. A point that was being made was just how to even begin to set your house environment up to have important conversations. Dads, it's a responsibility for dads to give vision and direction to the family, and in order to do that successfully, there has to be the environment has to be set. So let's start by how do we even go about setting the tone, or you just share from your experiences. How do you go about setting the stage, setting the tone for those type of conversations to be had?
Yeah, I can jump. All the talking,
all eyes on you.
I would say first I would start off by saying, like, this is a very, very important conversation to me, critical conversation to me, because I think the assumption is that we have a lot of time to even do that.
That's right.
And that's what we were just talking about is truth of the matter is things are presented as though you have this wealth of time, or you have all this time to be able to be who you're called to be as a father, or be who you're called to be as a man. And the truth of the matter is there isn't a lot of time to be able to be who God called you to be to your family, especially in 2023, when there are so many things that keep people's attention.
Yeah.
Especially in the family dynamics. And if anybody's wondering, like in 2020, when the pandemic came, like how that atmosphere felt, the proximity you had to your family, the ability to speak to them, that's actually what life felt like for me growing up. And then slowly it faded away to where it was like, no, it takes a lot to coordinate dinner with your family. But in 2020, like, it was a natural thing.
Right.
We eat together. But obviously people have returned back to a lot of what that is. I'm just giving a comparison to, the amount of time that you actually have to be who God's called you to be. And we were just talking about it because a lot of times, that you're supposed to cast vision, you're supposed to direct, and you're supposed to lead, and you're supposed to guide, but the atmosphere doesn't often give you the amount of time you may think you need to be able to be that. Right?
So are you saying that we should start early?
What I'm saying is, man, we have to capitalize on opportunities that we don't even see as opportunities today.
Got it.
And realize that as fathers and as men, we have to be far more proactive than reactive. You can't be a reactive father because there's not enough time. There's not enough time to chase where they may take you.
Right.
There's not enough time to do. I mean, I want to talk to you and get some things off your chest. Well, about the time they get done doing that, you lost your father moment.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're ignoring, but I think that's the point to where you have to really, really be far more tactical nowadays than previously. Like you don't got that much time.
Yeah.
You got opportunities, and often that also leads towards you got to simplify fatherhood. You really got to ask God, like, man, I don't have time for 10 principles. What's 3 that's going to change our lives? And let me direct them, because there's so many reactive moments. And that just means where opportunities are brought to you.
Yeah.
And so you have to even be skillful with those things. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. When you talk about not having time, I think about just how fast like kids grow up.
Yeah.
Kids grow up, years go by very quickly, and if you're not being proactive, then you'll be on your heels.
And I'll give a slight example, right? Just not to leave it drifting. But man, while we were going through the change experience, I spoke with a lot of grandparents, and they were just wondering, man, I really want to cast vision into my grandchildren. And I was telling them there's so many more opportunities than what you see. And I would use this as one. Yesterday, right? Yesterday was Juneteenth, right? And I said, well, do you take holidays as opportunities to communicate values? Because their ears are open.
Right.
And we talked about being your child's first teacher. They heard something. That's guaranteed.
Right.
They have the internet.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, did you take the opportunity to instill values about who your family is in the moment they were listening?
Yeah.
Every holiday is an opportunity to instill values. If the school let them off out of school, the school says something valuable happened.
Right.
But if you didn't take that moment to actually instill, then you lost an opportunity. It's like you have to seize every opportunity to communicate through the lens of who your family is called to be. Otherwise, all those opportunities, they're open to hearing what other people say and losing who your family is.
Yeah. It actually happens organically. Whether you realize it or not, you don't have to say nothing. They're watching your actions.
Yeah.
So what you are influenced by will become you eventually. So what you do on a day-to-day basis, it don't have to be a holiday or whatever. Just you passing by how you treat your wife, your spouse, how you when you get angry or when you're stressing, how do you relay that and how do that come out? So they're just watching your life. You don't have to do nothing spectacular. You just have to be. What I found out was useful. My focus wasn't that. It was totally on God. And in the principles of learning how he fathers me.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Then I began to father them without even putting towards a hard effort to do it. It was just like they seen the natural person who I am. They seen me in and out of church. Me at work, 4 jobs. See me tired. They see me exhausted. So just for them to watch who you are.
Mr. Nate, tell us the ages of your kids, and then I got a question for you.
So my daughter Mahogany, she is 26. I have a son, Giovanni, he's 25. I have twin girls, Nakaya and Nicole. They are 22.
Boom.
And Ayana is 20.
That's why you're the vet. He's the vet. The vet. Yes, let's go. So then the question I have for you is it more apparent that they watch now as adults? Can you tell that they're really like watching now versus when they were younger?
Because now the relationship, they can relate to situations is more current. When they're 8 or 12, it's just life is fun. But now they can relate to bills. They can relate to relationships and things that now we're both adults.
Yeah.
So now it's a different dynamic, even though I'm a little older, of course. Just to watch them now when they come to me is like, I get it.
So then is it true that as a parent of adult children, how you go about your life with them being grown is just as important as
Oh
the
yes,
intention that you put in it when they were little.
yes. My
Hmm.
father, we just talked, saying Happy Father's Day, pops, and
Hmm.
just talking to him, he was like, "Man, it don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Hmm.
still parenting."
Hmm.
And like the talks me and my dad have is like phenomenal, man. Is
Hmm.
at a different level, and you know, sometimes I just hug him and apologize because I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So now with my kids, it's the same thing, and just allowing them to experience, go through their process,
Hmm.
and support them while they're going through their process. It's not like a scolding or man, I told you not to do this. No, okay, now you get it. Sometimes that experience will help them realize,
Hmm.
okay, what you said it was valuable, and they just make the choices, and you love them like Christ loved us. When we mess up, hey,
That's good.
you know, I
Hmm.
still love you. You did wrong, and these are consequences of your decisions. You can get a reward if you listen,
Mhm.
and just leaving that open for them to experience it
Mhm.
is beautiful.
Hmm.
I love it. It was hard and difficult for me to change at first,
Mhm.
especially coming from teenage
Hmm.
to now you're out of school, college,
Hmm.
still got a ring on you now
Hmm.
because you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So for them to now be in the situation, and it's so beautiful because sometimes we don't see as parents what we imparting in them.
Mhm.
It has to sometimes live through experience,
Hmm.
and we're expecting a quick result.
Hmm.
Okay, I told you so, you do it. Sometimes it don't work like that.
Yeah.
Same like where the Holy Spirit speaks to us on a day to day. And hey, I told you not to make that phone call. I told you to, save your money, or I told you to hush your mouth. We don't do it, and we have to live through the process. And so once we do that, man, it's phenomenal to see it. And when they come to you, and you don't have to say nothing, they'll be like, "I get it.
Right.
I
Right.
get it."
Hmm.
Or they'll do an action where you can first thing you do like, "Thank you, Jesus." They got the lesson.
Hmm.
They got the lesson. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful to watch the process.
That's
Super
good.
Sean,
Yes, sir.
Sean, you have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old,
Mhm.
right? And with your 8-year-old Ryan, your little girl, um, when she got here,
Mhm.
did you like foresee? Did you have a whole vision of man what your little girl was gonna be like as she grew up?
Definitely not like she is now. I had a whole
I
a
got
whole
you.
different perspective.
Let's,
Yeah, yeah, but I knew she was a
shoot, I
special.
like to hear
I
those
know
details.
yeah,
Yeah.
I knew she was special,
Hmm.
and when I was praying for her, like God was showing me how she's going to impact, but that was a vision, but He was just sharing with me about the process, just like
Hmm.
allow me to give you wisdom on how to do it. So, and as she was growing up and start seeing her bent, start seeing like different things that she's attracted to and what she was drawn to,
Hmm.
I was just like, okay, Holy Spirit, what to do in this thing. So, and that's how, everything to start evolving. So God has start sharing me, hey, start, you see her like to do this, start grooming her to do that.
Hmm.
If you like we were talking about earlier about foreseeing or
Hmm.
anything. So I like what's it called? When opening up the door for
Yeah.
her, what's that?
Hmm. Teach you.
Chivalry. Boom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So like start doing those things so she would know how a man should treat her.
Hmm.
Even at a young age,
Hmm.
instilling her those things. So yeah.
When I hear you talk about your parenting experience, it
Mhm.
really sounds like you and God are partners.
100%. I trust him fully.
Yeah.
I have to.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And because I want the best for them,
Hmm.
it's just like and I share this with God. It's like God, I give them back to you, and I'm appreciative of what you have given me.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna take the time and enjoy every moment and just enjoy like everything because you hear the cliche that they grow so fast.
Hmm.
So I'm like, all right, God,
Yeah.
slow
Right.
down the time for me
Hmm.
so I can make sure that I'm nurturing them the right way.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's good. That's good. Um, And how often do we, as dads, try to create scenarios like set up lessons for them to learn without them knowing about it? Like they don't know I'm doing all of this so that they can learn a lesson, but I'm gonna create this whole situation in hopes that they learn something from. Like, how often do we do that? And is it good? Is that a good way to to parent, to do things?
Well, I did it often.
Hmm.
But it was just natural. Just like, go take the trash out, son.
Hmm.
And when he take it out, did he run around the house or do whatever to bring dirt in? So little things, just organic. Or you want to go to your friend house, you checking to see who the parents are, you meet the parents, things like that. But to see they would be responsible to handle their part, yeah, those are just natural tests that I believe just happen.
Hmm.
So I did it often. Did you clean your room? I'll skip a day just to see whether did you get the habit of
Mhm.
doing
Without
it
me saying
yourself
anything.
without me saying it.
Hmm.
And those little tests just help, not just to test them and be like, scold them. No, did you do what you needed to do? Because it's a thing that when you start teaching them, it becomes it's a thought, then it becomes an action, and then a habit, and part of your character eventually. So, yeah, it's
Hmm.
just those little test things like that. Whether they're gonna, you know, do did you do what your mama say?
Hmm.
Simple stuff, and they look and give you that look and like, nah, I didn't. Well, all right, tighten up and
But
keep it moving.
even in that though, man, like when you say did you do what your mom said? They're looking at you
Yeah,
Right.
and
yeah,
see if you have been like, how do you
Hmm.
respond to mom?
Hmm.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
And
exactly.
living that, like I have to start thinking about that. I'm like, all right, in front of her, if mom says something and I'm like, I'll do it later,
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah,
they gonna do the same thing. So
Hmm.
you can't get mad at them because they're
Hmm.
you
literally
can't.
real living examples of
Hmm.
how that how that works. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be mindful of that, man. When you said that, I'm
All
like,
of that.
oh
Oh
shoot,
yes.
you know what? Let me just I gotta mom tell like Camille tell, hey Sean, can you go do this for me? You know what? And I'm whining right.
Yeah, she in the cut. Watch it.
I bet
Got
yes,
your
yes. I'm
Yes,
go ahead and do
right
that,
away.
babe. What else you want me to do? Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
It was there, so
Right.
yeah, living that out. So yeah, most
Actions
definitely.
definitely speak louder than
Yeah,
words,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Actions
100%.
speak louder than words. What do you do with surprises? Like your kids ever, Sean, you even alluded like what you imagine. You
Mm-hmm.
found out, okay, you're gonna have a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to imagine what that was gonna be like. All of
Yeah.
us did,
Mm-hmm.
and then they start to develop, and it's like, wow, I didn't imagine this.
Yeah.
What do we do with the surprises? Nate, you have 5 adults. I know there were some surprises,
All the
right?
time. Holy Spirit, just pray, man.
He
That's
said
like
it's pray.
real
Pray.
pray, pray, pray,
Yeah.
Hmm.
pray,
Yeah.
pray, 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 pray. Can I sing it?
Same.
Pray, pray. I'm serious. Like, you're gonna hear them. Like I was telling y'all guys earlier. We do a thing called Real Talk,
Hmm.
and it's just leaving them open to express themselves. So it's always surprises when it comes to things like that. You just have to be equipped and ready to receive
Mm-hmm.
what's going to be said. You don't know, but
Hmm.
what you do know is your relationship with God. Hey, God, what do I say in this moment? Like, you know, I know I want to scold him. Like I was saying, sometimes, my wife will have this look, be like, beat your behind.
Hmm.
Like, but you can't sometimes approach it like that, especially when you leave that open space for them to talk and say what they need to say to develop
Hmm.
themselves. So, yeah, a lot of surprises. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think and I can almost hear what he's saying. It's like it's just I'm just still that same thought, right? Is there's not as much time as you think.
Right.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's like it's not that you don't see certain things
Yes.
as a father. It's not that you don't know certain things could be detrimental, but you have to be skillful.
Correct.
You have to be skillful because of the amount of time you actually have, like in a real life scenario.
Mhm.
And I always love the talking ways as real life. It's almost like even now, it's like if Amber at the age of 6 she comes and she says things, I already know like okay, if I approach it this way, she ain't even gonna hear the rest of the words.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's like you're having to be skillful, not to like say something that's offensive
Right.
first,
That part.
so that you can at least get to a point,
Right.
in this. And I think that is the part that I would just like to share some light on this, because I think it's maybe not something that fathers are thinking about that I know can help them. But yes, we all desire
Mhm.
to make decisions based on the values we have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's actually a force that competes with the values we have.
Yes.
It's our view of the world.
Yeah.
Correct.
Your worldview will compete with your value set.
Mm-hmm.
Like, although I value this based on how I see the world operate, it could not be profitable for me to even do what I value.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so what I'm saying is when you're seeing your child and you're trying to be skillful in directing them with the limited amount of time you have, it's like you have to be aware when values are being violated and when worldview is being distorted.
Exactly.
Because I'm really in a balance between the two. And it's like sometimes Amber, she'll come home and I can tell that she's explaining what happened at school from the perspective of my teacher doesn't think that I did the right thing. Well, okay, as a father, I need to be skillful and prayerful, because what I can't have you adopt is a worldview that says teachers aren't for you.
Right.
And so although I may feel as though, your teacher was wrong, if I communicate that to you, I've changed your worldview when it comes to instructors.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of parents navigate that situation so wrong, because
Yeah.
they'll want to build trust with their child while meanwhile disrupting their view of the world.
That's good.
Right.
And so it's like, only thing they did was gain trust in you.
Yeah.
But now they don't trust nobody outside these four walls,
Right.
which ain't going to help them, because they're going to have a boss. They're going to have more teachers and professors. And so you're having to be skillful in this season to say, like, you know what? Yes, I'm responsible for giving you a set of values as your father, but I'm also responsible for making sure you don't have a skewed worldview.
Right.
The whole world don't hate you.
Right.
The whole world ain't full of evil.
Right.
Every boy ain't bad.
Right.
Every man ain't trying to get you. Like you
Yeah.
have to be so skillful. But I've seen fathers, because they're trying to protect their daughters, be like,
Right.
well, I'm the only man you can trust.
Right.
Literally say that. And I'm like, you just told them?
Yeah. Right.
Like, I know you feel great because now they trust you.
And when they get out here in the world, they're just like confused and don't know how to handle or even cope with
Because
what's going on, because you have laid that foundation so thick to mess up their view.
Yeah.
Yes, you're, and so that's why it's like so important that you realize those two things with the limited time you have. Like, sometimes you don't have time to give your values. Sometimes the best thing to do is to make sure they have the right view of the world. That, you know what, baby girl, there are some people that may not do right by you, but there's some people that will.
Yes.
This teacher is just here for a year. Next year, you're going to get a new one, Amber.
Right.
Yeah.
And making sure we're monitoring both, because at the end of the day, it's the one force that competes against the good we have.
That's good.
It's our view of others. And that's the part where I see a lot of fathers not realizing, like, man, like, that is so big.
Yeah.
That is so big. And we have to be skillful, because there isn't as much time as you think.
Right.
That's good.
You might not get an hour long. First of all, if you have an hour long conversation, they're probably only going to retain like the first 5 minutes, unless you have them taking notes. You know what I'm saying? But then are they going to go up? Are they going upstairs and studying those notes?
Right.
No,
Nah.
they're not. Right? They're going to leave there thinking about how they felt, and then they're going to live life through the lens of their feelings. That's just how kids are.
Right.
It's like there's systems, and I know we don't always often like that, but like the first thing that is like, and you can be in this chapter for a long time. Like right now, Amber's in a chapter where she lives life based on how she feels. Like if she feels sad, she just cries. And it doesn't matter if she feels sad because a toy broke, or she feels sad because her fries aren't hot.
Right.
Like she'll cry. We're like, Amber, you can't cry over cold fries. Like you got to put them in the microwave. I don't know why this They're ruined. They're like, no, just put them in the microwave for 30 seconds. They pop back out. She's like, oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That is it.
But that's what they do. They're living life by their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's once they, like, to me, the crossroad of maturity is when you've learned how to not live life based on your feelings.
Right.
Until your child has displayed that,
That's
then
good.
you're still having to shape their worldview from a feeling perspective.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't like to do that.
Good. That's good.
Like, but that's how they're doing. Like, I feel like he loves me, Daddy.
Mhm.
So
Like,
then
you
you're
know?
saying we have to learn how to talk through feelings. If they're relating,
That's
through
exactly what I'm
feelings.
saying. But what's the
Mhm.
first thing many people do? Just
Right.
try to teach their child how to
Dismiss feelings.
dismiss their feeling.
Right.
Your child, if I had to throw out a number,
Right.
if I had to throw out a legit number,
Mhm.
from what I've observed, it isn't until your child is like 24 to where they can really understand how to navigate life apart from their feelings.
Yeah.
And so you got the first 24 years where you're gonna have to teach them through the lens of their feelings.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Like, but a lot of men reject that, mainly
Mhm.
because they
We
don't
still
know
learning
how
how
to
to
Yeah.
do it ourselves. We still learning how to do it
And so it's like, no.
ourselves.
And I believe, and I was thinking, and you can share it, right? Because a lot of men, they don't want to have transparent conversations because they don't understand the value of it.
Mhm.
It's like, you're asking me to open up for what? Like,
Right.
I don't understand the value, and men don't do things that they don't see value
I
for.
understand. Yes.
And so if you
Yeah.
could share, what has been the value you've gained from having an open door to, like, saying no, real talk conversation,
Mhm.
which could put you literally in a minefield.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. It's beautiful how it all came about. I just seen opportunity of, first of all, how my father raised me,
yeah,
Mhm.
which was very strict, 12 kids. So,
Mm.
7 boys, 5 girls. Hey,
Mm.
he the general.
Yeah.
So I adapted some of those ways. And
let me just put a pause right there,
Yes,
real
sir.
quick, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I may have to put a pause there too. I don't know.
Kids don't understand dynamics either.
Right.
They don't understand dynamics.
Yeah.
They don't understand because there's more of us.
Mhm.
That means that I get some type of skewed raising. Oh, okay, because it's 12 of y'all. Listen,
This is going to be different.
this gonna be different. Well, I didn't choose to have 12 of us.
Right.
So,
Right.
I did choose it.
Right.
so your dynamics shouldn't change Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
that was you and Mama's decision.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But now you telling me that the dynamics are changing
Because
my
it's-
Christmas.
Mhm.
The dynamics are changing, my life. And
Exactly.
what are you doing? You're shaping a negative worldview. You're shaping a negative worldview. And I would say, people like, man, people ain't having kids like they used to. That's because the ones that had
Mhm.
kids, you told them
Mhm.
that they had a horrible lifestyle because
Right.
of the number of
Exactly.
kids.
No.
You shape their worldview.
Right.
And now you're trying to get them to live out a value of being fruitful and multiply, while raising them to see the world through the lens of too many means less for you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like them conflicting.
Selfish.
Mhm.
And people will always, I'm trying to tell you, I'm a preacher. And I would love to say people make decisions based on truth, but it's truth impacted by their view of the world. Like, I'm gonna tell the truth as long as people telling me the truth.
Right. That's it.
I believe in telling the truth
Mhm.
as long as we all telling the truth.
Yeah.
But if I feel as though I'm the only one telling the truth, I ain't gonna be no sucker. Because being
Right,
a
yeah.
sucker,
Ain't it?
I ain't about that life, boss.
Mhm.
But yeah, transparency, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What value has that brought?
It brought communication, which on both ends, whether you have male, female, it just leaves it open for them. Like, God placed in me, our job is to cultivate these things so they can go be great.
Mhm.
My wife used to always say, go be great, go be great. Equipping them with the proper things that they need. If you're in a work environment, you need to learn how to communicate properly without just your feelings running rapid.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
If a person do you wrong, that's where the values, it left a gateway open. When they feel safe to talk and communicate with you, then you can pour Christ in them without any resistance.
Mhm.
Because now, guess what? I trust you enough. You're just not my parent, but you're a human being.
Mhm.
because they think parents are just these aliens that don't have feelings, emotions, and we just do these things. We provide. No, but we have feelings. And so it left room for, those conversations like, listen, man, we're just not talking Christ. We trust him. We're living out this thing right along with you. Like, I have a joke, me and my kids. I'm like, I'm somebody daddy. I'm like, I'm literally your father. It amazes me what God can do through a person if you just yield your life. So it leaves those conversations, but they're not just going to do that, especially what they're going through school and the things they're going through their life, because they only have a capacity, but so much. So sometimes what we do as parents, we think their capacity is ours.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
right.
I think one of the lessons, and one of the big things I pull out what you said, right, is like having transparent conversations. It leads to a validating of their feelings and a validating of their emotions, and they're not going to be honest until they're not going to be clear with you or trust you until you say that I understand how you feel. I understand, or you have some type of structure set up that validates their emotions, and it's a hard path to guide. But I could say, like, what am I literally trying to teach Amber? I know one day the emotions in which are skewed within her at times now. I know one day God's going to use those same emotions for her good.
Right.
Yes.
And so I don't want her to ignore them as much as I want to develop in her a way to guide her with them. And I think in most cases our first thought is to try to get them to dismiss their emotions and dismiss how they feel. And I'm telling you, it's a much harder path, and because I'm literally trying to walk it right now, but I'm trying to get Amber to see how, like, okay, that's how you felt, but from that place, how do you respond?
Yes.
Doing everything not to get her to disconnect from how she feels emotionally. And I say that because most of the time a lot of kids end up being in these horrible relationships simply because they feel like they finally felt somebody that understands how they feel. And that's only because they were raised to dismiss how they feel. And so I'm trying to do everything I can not to dismiss how she feels, but take how she feels and show her how she can use how she feels to still move forward. Even though you're crying, like, it's going to be okay, but don't dismiss and say you're crying for no reason. Right. That's horrible thing to say to your child because they don't understand reasons yet.
It's got to be.
I'll never forget.
I'm doing it.
I'll never forget. I was having a conversation with the father and their child was there. And they kept telling the child to stop, like, throwing donuts. Like, you gotta stop throwing them donuts. Stop throwing them donuts. You gotta stop throwing. The little child was just throwing donuts around the room, and it wasn't bothering me, but I could tell how he could feel. Like, man, my child is, I thought they were going to miraculously be like respectful. They do the home all day, but he was just hoping it didn't happen in public, but it was happening in public, and so it was happening, and they were like trying to get the child to stop. And I just looked at him and I said, "Does your child know what a donut is?" And the child didn't know what a donut was. They were trying to get him to stop throwing the donut by saying, "Stop throwing the donut." The child didn't even know what a donut was. And I was saying, like, listen, that's how far off you are, right? You're trying to train someone who's uneducated.
Correct.
And sometimes we can forget that.
Exactly.
That there's so many. It's like you're seeing the lens from your mature state,
right?
And you're trying to bring your lesson to their level.
Yeah.
And no, they don't get it. They don't get it.
Right.
They don't understand.
That's
There's a lot of reasons why you got where you got, and you understand what you understand, and they'll get there.
It's also a lot of reasons why you're frustrated in your parenting is because you're dealing with them like they already know the lesson.
They don't know
that you've already learned.
They don't know.
And I think what you're talking about, Nate, is valuable because having an atmosphere where people can talk freely, you get to talk in between the lines. I think so often we just want them to get to the final destination or the end product, that we don't take the time to teach the route.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That's what everybody really wants to know, is the route. Like, how did you get there? Okay, that's where we're going, but how? What's the next step? And so absolutely valuable conversation.
Real quickly, something I did with my son at an early age. I just hugged him.
Mm-hmm.
That's rare. And I showed him, he watched me doing worship and, oh, man, don't cry. No, we do. We're human beings.
Yeah.
So to teach him the value of a hug was major. So now, when he greets his sisters or his mom or anybody, it's a hug. It's a sense of intimate moment that normally men don't show. And it's little things like that. It don't take much. Or yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Simple things. It's not, oh, that's old school. No, it's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that don't mean you looking at it from their perspective. It's yours and how God treats you. It's all about kingdom. And if you teach them kingdom, you're okay. Don't mean not trial and error. Things happen. You're human. Yeah. You might get upset because she threw the donut or he threw the donut. But explaining, and God will show you.
You're not upset. You embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Yeah. Which caused. Which caused.
You was embarrassed.
Now you upset. Because I should have taught.
Yeah, because
which shows you show your embarrassment through upset.
Listen. I'll never forget. We was me and Rashida, like Amber, and of course I have one daughter, so we can talk about I can't even spread it around. My mom and dad used to be like one of our kids, but there was 4 of us, so no one could really know. So I can't be like one of my kids. I only got one. Y'all already know who it is. I ain't talking about her, but I am talking about her though. But no, we had to like. I said, man, Rashida, like, I don't forget Amber. Amber was, first of all, Amber was exceptional. Like she's a really good kid. But
I don't have that story. But,
so
they're great kids, but they go through their themes.
Yeah, so we could tell when Amber started to like observe the world around her. You know what I'm saying? When she went to preschool, that's how I'm saying. She started to observe the world around her, and we started getting different reports because Amber will put on a show. If you want a show, she'll give you a show. And so she was given a show. And so she got home, and she's there, and it was us. Like, we were the problem. Amber, like, she got frustrated at something, and she like threw a paper. And I could tell you on a scale of 1 to 10, it was kind of like a 3 reaction. Like, Amber, just pick the paper up off the floor. Then a couple weeks later, she threw a remote. And of course, now I'm thinking like, man, girl, you could have damaged something with that remote. So the response was like a level 7. At the end of the day, it was throwing that was bad. Right. But we changed our reaction based on the value of what she threw. Here's the thing. Amber doesn't know value yet.
That's good.
And that's what I mean by sometimes you have to be so careful. She doesn't know value. But yet we responded different to a paper versus a remote because we understand value. And that right there will throw your kids off.
That's good.
And I realized that, Rashida, we gotta treat the paper the same way we do the remote.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like, she doesn't understand value. And we couldn't, and it's not that she can even understand it. It didn't. She don't understand much. Like, if you gave her a $10 bill and gave her a $20 bill, she wouldn't know the difference.
Both, right?
And so it's like sitting there trying to teach her, like, listen, Amber, some stuff is just more expensive than others. Blah 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 blah. Going, this is pointless. She ain't heard none of it.
Right.
All we can say here is that's not a great way to express your emotions. But she needs to know how to express her emotion. So just simply saying don't throw things isn't actually good either.
Right.
Because she's like, I have this emotional bank and I need to release it. What can't I do? Right. And we found out that we were saying more don'ts than we were showing her what to do.
That's good.
And so we had to say, listen, Amber, if you're feeling like this, just put your pen down, put your paper down, and just pause, girl.
That's good.
Just pause. And we talk. We have this little thing, and she'll say it today. If I were to tell us, Amber, what do you do when you're feeling some type of way? She says, stop, think, then respond. Mm-hmm. I said, yes, Bear. You have to stop. You have to think. Then you respond.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's great.
I said, why do you stop? She says, because I don't want to ever not have control. I said, well, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking about what I should do next and what could happen if I do it. I said, then once you find what's good, then you respond, right? Yeah. She says, yeah. Then I respond. Stop, think, then respond.
That's good.
And we're just teaching her how to handle her emotions. Mm-hmm. But and it's amazing. Like now I see her telling other kids that.
Wow.
Like you got,
yep.
They forgot to stop, think, and respond. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah. And man, anyway. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. This was good. Good. Give it up for the all pro dads. We get to continue this conversation on Thursday. We'll be back. Maybe we have some other dads that sit on the panel with us on Thursday. But today's Tuesday. It's a good one. And as you go through it knowing that God loves you. We love you.
There was a Mother's Day, and they didn't have a panel. No. Shouts out to the men. You know what I'm saying? Oh. They ain't have no Mother's Day panel.
Boom. Keep attending. And keep being most blessed. We'll see you soon.